Hey there, horror fans. Tonight, I'm diving into a story that'll make you rethink solo walks in the woods. It's from my friend Sarah, a mom from upstate New York who went mushroom picking one perfect fall day in 2003 and stumbled into something that wasn't just a wild animal. This isn't your average spooky tale, it's raw, it's terrifying, and it's got a twist that'll leave you questioning what's lurking out there. So, grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and settle in, because this one's just for you. If it gives you chills, smash that like button. Your likes keep these creepy stories coming, and I've got more waiting if you show the love. Let's get started. It was the fall of 2003, and Sarah was a 38-year-old mom living in a cozy clapboard house outside Ithaca, New York, where the air carries the scent of apples and damp earth. She had a husband, Tom, a gruff mechanic who loved his hunting trips, and two teenage sons, Jake and Matt, who'd inherited his passion for the outdoors. That autumn was a stunner, warm and golden, with leaves painting the Finger Lakes region in fiery reds and oranges. The forests around Cayuga Lake were teeming with mushrooms, especially honey mushrooms, those golden caps that sprout in clumps along the wood's edge, perfect for picking. Sarah was a forager at heart, always out gathering berries or herbs, so when Tom and the boys planned a duck hunting trip to a nearby forest, she jumped at the chance to join. "Drop me off by the woods," she told Tom, clutching a metal bucket and a paring knife. "I'll hunt mushrooms while you guys chase birds." Tom grunted, promising to pick her up in a few hours, and the boys teased her about getting lost. "Don't wander off, Mom," Matt said, smirking, as they piled into their rusty Ford pickup and peeled out, leaving her in a cloud of dust. Sarah stepped onto a dirt path by the forest, the morning sun filtering through towering pines, the ground cushioned with fallen leaves. The woods were alive with small sounds, birds flitting between branches, squirrels rustling in the underbrush, a breeze whispering through the trees. She started picking honey mushrooms, humming an old folk tune, thrilled at how perfect they were, firm and plump, no worms or rot. The forest's edge was a forager's dream, the mushrooms growing in thick patches in the grass, easy to spot. She moved slowly, filling her bucket, her fingers stained with earth, losing track of time. The air was crisp, the kind that makes your cheeks glow, and for a while, it was pure bliss. She didn't notice how the path twisted, how the trees grew denser, how the sunlight dimmed as she wandered deeper into the woods, far from the open fields where she'd started. She stopped in a small clearing, no bigger than her living room, ringed by pines and tangled ferns. That's when it hit her, a sensation she'll carry to her grave. It started as a prickle on her neck, like a cold finger brushing her skin. Then it surged, goosebumps racing down her spine, her shoulder blades twitching like they were trying to escape her body. She froze, her bucket dangling, her breath caught in her throat. Her heart pounded, but her body refused to move, locked in place like she was trapped in ice. Fear flooded her, sharp and bitter, not tied to anything she could see or hear, just there, swelling until it choked her. Her hands turned to ice, her legs numb, like the blood had drained from her veins. She tried to rationalize it, maybe a bear or a coyote nearby, but the fear was unnatural, growing like a living thing, wrapping around her heart. She couldn't think, couldn't scream, just stood there, a statue in the clearing, the forest unnaturally still, like it was holding its breath. Then came the worst part, something she'd never felt before or since. Her hair stood on end, lifting the wool scarf she'd tied over her head. She felt it, the fabric tugging upward, her scalp burning with a sharp, electric sting that made her gasp. It was like static, but alive, pulling at her roots, and the sensation was so alien it snapped her deeper into panic. Her chest tightened, her pulse a faint stutter, and a new feeling crashed over her, what her grandma called mortal dread. It wasn't just fear or sadness, it was a crushing despair, like every loss, every grief, every horror of the world had piled onto her shoulders. She saw flashes in her mind, unbidden, a child's funeral, a house burning, a scream cut short, images that weren't hers but felt real. Her knees buckled, but she didn't fall, held up by whatever was gripping her. Out of the fog of panic, a memory surfaced, a prayer her grandma taught her when she was 6, for times when the world turned dark. "When you're in trouble, Sarah," Her grandma would say this, and your guardian angel will come, angel mine, keeper mine, guard my sinful soul, strengthen my heart. Enemy, devil, get away from me. I have Jesus' prayer. The Lord's cross, protect the earth, the sky, and me, a sinful servant. Angel mine, keeper mine, walk with me, you lead, I'll follow. Sarah hadn't thought of it in decades, but it came back, every word clear. Her lips wouldn't move, her tongue felt like lead, but she started reciting it in her mind, over and over. Angel mine, keeper mine. As soon as she thought the first words, she felt a shift, a gentle push at her back, like a hand guiding her forward. Her legs, stiff and wooden, began to move, slow and jerky, each step a battle against the invisible weight holding her. She shuffled out of the clearing, her bucket banging against her thigh, the fear still clawing at her chest. The farther she got, the lighter she felt. Warmth crept back into her hands, her fingers flexing enough to grip the bucket's handle. She switched it to her other hand, a small act that felt like defiance. Her hair settled, her scarf falling back into place, though her scalp ached for days, like she'd been sunburned. The dread ebbed, replaced by a shaky relief, but she didn't stop, didn't look back, just kept moving, the trees thinning as she neared the forest's edge, the sunlight growing brighter. She stumbled into an open field, the grass swaying under a clear sky, the air clean and sweet. She was halfway to the road, her breath steadying, when a sound stopped her dead, a scream from the woods behind her, unlike anything she'd ever heard. It was piercing, guttural, a mix of metal and anguish, not human, not animal, just wrong. It sliced through the air, echoing in her bones, and her blood turned to ice. Her legs didn't hesitate this time. She ran, faster than she'd ever moved, her bucket swinging wildly, mushrooms spilling into the grass. She didn't care, just sprinted, her lungs burning, her scarf flapping, until she saw the glint of Tom's pickup parked by the road, a beacon of safety. Tom and the boys were unloading their rifles, joking about a botched shot, when they spotted her. Jake's jaw dropped. "Mom, you're pale as death. What's wrong?" She collapsed against the truck, gasping, her bucket half empty, and spilled the story, the clearing, the paralyzing fear, the prayer, the scream. Tom, ever the skeptic, scoffed. "Probably a bobcat or a creaky branch. You're making it up." But Sarah saw the unease in his eyes, the way he glanced at the woods. Matt, quieter, touched her arm. "You okay, Mom?" She nodded, but her hands shook, her scarf still tangled from her run. She climbed into the truck, silent, watching the trees as they drove away, half expecting that scream to follow. Back home, she told her sister, Emily, over coffee in their cluttered kitchen. Emily frowned, stirring her mug. Could have been a mountain lion. They scream like that, almost human. Sarah nodded, desperate for a rational answer. A few months later, a hunter friend mentioned spotting mountain lion tracks in those woods that winter, near Cayuga Lake. Sarah clung to the idea, told herself it was just a big cat, maybe perched on a branch, watching her with hungry eyes. But it didn't fit. The fear, the dread, the way her hair stood up, it was too much for a cat. In her nightmares, she saw it, a shadow with glowing eyes, claws twitching, ready to leap, its scream echoing in her skull. She'd wake up gasping, clutching her blanket, whispering the prayer until her heart slowed. The nightmares didn't stop there. For months, Sarah felt off, like something had followed her out of the woods. She'd hear faint rustles outside her bedroom window at night, see shadows flicker in her peripheral vision, gone when she turned. Once, while washing dishes, she froze, certain she'd heard a low growl from the backyard, but when she checked, it was empty, just leaves skittering in the wind. She started keeping the curtains drawn, her cross necklace always tucked under her shirt. She didn't tell Tom, he'd laugh it off, but she confided in Emily, who suggested a priest. Sarah didn't go that far, but she prayed every night, the words a shield against the dark. In 2015, Sarah and Matt were flipping through channels and landed on a documentary about Bigfoot, one of those late-night shows with blurry footage and earnest witnesses. The interviewees described their encounters, and Sarah's heart stopped. They talked about a paralyzing fear, goosebumps like needles, a despair so heavy it crushed their chests. One man said his hair stood up, like static was pulling it. Another described a scream, not animal, not human, just pure terror. Matt turned to her, his eyes wide. "Mom, that's what you went through." "Same exact symptoms." Sarah nodded, her throat tight. The show claimed Bigfoot could hypnotize its prey, locking them in place with a stare, flooding them with panic. It matched her experience, every detail, from the dread to the scream to the way she'd been rooted to the spot. She didn't want to believe it was Bigfoot. A mountain lion was easier, fit the tracks, the scream, the rational world. But the feelings, the way her body betrayed her, the way the prayer snapped the spell, it didn't add up to just a cat. She started digging online, scouring forums about cryptids in the Finger Lakes. Locals had reported oddities for decades, shadows moving in the woods, screams at night, feelings of being watched. A hunter claimed he'd found a footprint near Cayuga Lake in 2002, too big for a bear, with claw marks that didn't match any known animal. Another posted about a presence in the forest, a weight that made him drop his rifle and run. Sarah didn't know what to think, but the stories piled up, each one echoing her own. She tried to move on, kept foraging, but stuck to open fields, never venturing past the tree line. She taught Jake and Matt the prayer, made them promise to use it if they ever felt off in the woods. Tom still teases her about her spooky moment, but she catches him glancing at the forest sometimes, his hand tight on his rifle. Sarah told me this story last summer, sitting on her porch, her voice steady but her eyes haunted, like she was back in that clearing. "I don't know what was there," she said, sipping her tea, "but my angel pulled me out." She doesn't talk about it much, keeps her cross close, and avoids the woods near Cayuga Lake like the plague. For a while, she thought it was over, but last year, something brought it back. She was gardening, digging in her backyard, when she found a small, oddly shaped stone buried in the dirt, smooth and black, with faint scratches like claw marks. It felt wrong, cold in her hand, and when she held it, her scalp tingled, just like in the clearing. She buried it deeper, said the prayer, and hasn't touched that patch of yard since. She didn't tell anyone, not even Emily, but she mentioned it to me, her voice barely a whisper. "It's like it's still out there," she said, "waiting for me to come back." That's the story, just for you. If it made your skin crawl, hit that like button hard. Your likes keep these creepy tales coming, and I've got more that'll make you sleep with the lights on. Don't miss out.